Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Okay, so this is from the Dave Ramsey show. Ran just about a day ago. It's titled I've Made Some Dumb Mistakes. I'm listening to this for the first time with you. I know I personally have made so many mistakes that I cannot judge anybody else's mistakes, but we can learn from each other's errors. So let's go ahead and do it. All right, those couple of you that are walking, well, we are starting this. We're going to start in three, two, one.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Hello, guys. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling in. What's going on?
I'm actually in a big mess. So I have a backstory. I'm a starter, so you guys understand.
Okay.
About a year ago, I went through a really bad phase of depression, and well, I made some dumb mistakes that I'm now paying for.
All right, we've all been there, and I think we have to thank this young man for sharing this. He doesn't sound like he's very old, and he definitely sounds like he knows he's made a mistake.
I got myself into $70,000 of debt.
Mm.
I purchased things I knew I couldn't afford, but I just didn't care at the moment. And well, today I'm making roughly about $20,000 a year, maybe a little less than.
Okay, so he's got $70,000 in debt, making 20,000 a year. Okay, that hurts. We have to remember that debt is all relative. To some people, 70,000 is something they can just wipe off the slate with no problem. To other people, it's enough to make them go bankrupt. Everything's relative. Everything's relative. 70,000 is a lot by any stretch of most people's imaginations, however.
That. I am working on getting my a CDO, my commercial driver's license, so I can make more money.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really hard to get right now. But to break it down for you, I have about 19 or 18,000 in credit cards and personal loans debt.
Okay.
I have bought a car. It's a very expensive car. You guys are.
Oh, how much do we think the car is? Okay, people, take bets. Take bets. I hate to be taking bets on somebody's unfortunate situation, but we have to get an idea. Okay, what would you consider to be an expensive car? Okay, to me, I'm kind of I'm an inexpensive car gal. Okay, yes, I know I lease a vehicle, all right, but otherwise I'm an inexpensive car gal, and I can comfortably afford leasing, so that's totally fine with me. To me, if someone says they have an expensive car in my world, you're talking a car that starts hitting above. Oh, geez, I'm gonna say 30,000. That's to me, and I know cars have really been the ride has been pretty wild the last couple of years with the car market. So unfortunately, it's not what it used to be. Okay, things change, but I would say really, if you tell me you spent more than $30,000 on a car, I'm going to be like, yikes. And I don't even like the idea of spending 25 or 20, but I understand what the market is today. So even if we take an adjustment for that, I'm going to say 35. And if you tell me it's above 40, I'm going to be like, you just purchased half my condo. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say 40,000, and he's making 20,000 a year. That would be double his income. So I'm going to say 40,000 is what he purchased a car for.
Going to be so angry at me.
How much?
It was $50,000. I now own 46,000 on it, and I also bought a motorcycle.
Oh, I was not prepared for the 50,000 or the motorcycle. Oh, depression much. I get it. I get it. He's a young male. He's in depression. His life probably isn't going quite where it is, quite where he wanted it to be. He makes 20,000 a year, and he's like, "Eff it, I just don't care." This, people, is how we make a bad problem worse. Oh, the motorcycle, the motorcycle. Oh my goodness. Okay, I don't know about anybody else. That motorcycle, that one really had me for a loop there. Okay, I could even I could even swallow on the $50,000 car, which I still think is just 50,000. He makes 20,000 a year. I'm trying to figure out how he got the car. That's a mystery. I mean, I know car dealerships don't really give a rip who they sell to. If you've got a pulse and some DNA tracking, they'll give it to you. But 50,000 for a $20,000 car. Wow, maybe we'll get some answers to that.
But I owe like 5,000 on it.
You owe 5,000 on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ah,
Which do you
So
want to get first? Do you want to get John's take or do you want to get Jade's take? You get to choose, but you're gonna get both.
I say get Jade's take. That's who I would go with. Only reason I would say go with Jade first is I think she's more the numbers cruncher, whereas John tends to look at more at the emotional aspect of it. That's why they do so well together, right?
either one.
All right, here's the deal, man. First thing before you get going, I need you when this call is over to go look in the mirror and look yourself dead in the eye, okay? I need you to say the following. I screwed up, but I'm not a screw up. The game changes right now. Okay?
Yeah.
I need you to
We've all been in his shoes. All of us have walked in his shoes. Maybe we didn't do that action, but we did some action. And you have to tell yourself over and over and over again, the action was bad. The action was maybe careless, wrong, whatever. But don't let that negative action define you. Because if you allow that negative action to define you, it will destroy you.
repeat that over and over and over.
Yes.
I'm worth fixing all this stuff, okay? The funny thing, you calling me and Jade $70,000 doesn't make either of us blink because we've both had way, way, way more debt than that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And both of us have gone through ups and downs. So, same
And I've been bankrupt.
team, all right? The $50,000 car that you owe 46 grand on, that's sold by the end of next week.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. That you gotta let it go. And you especially want, is this a new car? I sure as heck hope it's a new car for 50,000. But I absolutely agree. You know, at my one of my broke points, I rode a scooter to work and back. Okay, and that's what I did. It's amazing how cheap riding around on a scooter is until you realize here in Tampa it's not the safest thing to be doing, to be riding around on a scooter. But for a period of time I rode around a scooter. It saved gas. It wasn't the most comfortable thing in the world, okay? I think scooters are meant more for fun than they are for economic necessity. But you do what you got to do. But I absolutely agree. Get rid of that motorcycle. Get rid of the car fast. Use the motorcycle.
Right?
Yeah, and I've tried selling the car already. I just owe
Good.
so much money on it, and they will only give me like 34,000.
Who?
I don't have any money to pay for the upside
When
down.
you looked if you look on kellybluebook.com, what's the car worth? Or have you done that yet?
I've done it. Yeah, $35,000.
Man, so even if he sold the car at Kelly Blue Book, 30, 40, he'd be about $46. I gotta get a pen, paper. All right. So, I gotta keep track of this stuff too, just like they do.
So it's worth 35, you owe 46, so 10K upside down.
Yeah.
9K. All right. We're going to deal with that. We're still getting out of this car because at this point 40,000 is worth it to take a $10,000 hit. So we're going to talk about that.
Why?
Yeah, that is true, because it's not just the car, okay? It's not just the car. It's also you're having to insure the car, the gas. And I'm willing to bet if it's a $50,000 car, this is not an economy car, okay? He sounded like these were some rash purchases. This is not an economy vehicle.
Oh, real quick, why are you only making $20,000, man?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how to do much.
That's not true.
I don't believe that for 1 second.
At first, I thought he said, I don't know how to do math. Now, their response is telling me he said, I don't know how to do much. Not at $20,000 a year. He's undercutting himself. That's kind of the way I see it. Okay, even if somebody said they don't know how to do much, I'm willing to bet I could take a person's lowest skill and they can make more than $20,000 off it. So if I took the lowest skill, talent, creativity that somebody had, let's just say the lowest skill to be able to go work for somebody else, okay? I took the lowest skill somebody had. You're telling me we can't get you above 20,000? I think we can.
Not for 1 second.
Yeah, that's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you deliver pizzas? Yes.
Ah,
Can you drive Uber? Yes. Can you go find a construction site of all those building sites out in Houston and just throw brick? Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
this guy has lost self-confidence somewhere along the way. And yeah, he's clearly lost self-confidence. I don't know where. I'd like to know how old he is. He's got to be very young. But I sometimes wonder, did he lose self-confidence while he was in school? Did he lose self-confidence, on his first maybe job that he took and he got fired on? So somewhere along the line he has lost self-confidence. It was that path was built somewhere along the line, and that's something that he needs to look at, because that is not just a finance killer because you think you have no skill, but it can take you down a rabbit hole you don't want to go down psychologically.
Yes. You don't want to work. You're going to work tomorrow,
yeah.
right?
And you think that what you know how to do is not important. And it is important
very
because that's
important.
what's going to keep food on your table. That's what's going to pay off your debt. It is so important.
Yeah, I agree.
Are
So
you in?
let's change that.
Hey, are you in, Manuel?
Yeah, I'm in.
I like it. I appreciate the positive tone that they're taking this with. I have to be really honest. I like it because in many ways, those of us who have been down like that, I think a lot of viewers have. That's why we watch this show. Okay, we have empathy because we can relate to this. Okay, maybe we didn't buy a car and a motorcycle, but we did something else stupid. I know I certainly have. And again, we have to remember it's the action that's stupid. I said it in another video, okay? Because we're dealing part. This isn't just about money, okay? This is one of those that it's not so much about the money. It's about the psychology. It's why we're doing the action we're doing, and money is just what we see on the surface. But somewhere or another here, this young man has lost confidence in his abilities, and that's what he's going to need to do to save himself. He's got to find out. Right now he needs to make money, deliver pizzas or whatever it takes. But when he gets that stabilized, he really needs to find out what it is that makes him believe that he has not much skill or talent.
Okay. We believe in you, and we can't believe in you more than you believe in you, okay?
Absolutely true. I tell that to my students too. I can believe in you, but I can't believe more than you can.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
You hear the pain in his voice, and you can tell that there is there's a level of humility that you don't always hear in all the calls. Sometimes you get these people that are wealthy calling in, moaning and groaning about why they can't make it on 300,000 a year. Okay, and I'm not gonna say there's an entitlement in their voice, but there's just that certain, I don't know quite how to describe it, but their voice doesn't have humbleness to it. This guy has a lot of humbleness. Like, this is someone you want to see succeed and someone you want to help.
We're locking that in. So $20,000. I know you're working to get your so you can drive trucks.
CDL, yeah.
But in the meantime, there's almost anything that you can do is going to make you more than $20,000
McDonald's.
if you're working 40 plus hours a week.
A CDL, for those who may not know, is a commercial driver's license.
And I want you working. I mean, are you a single guy? Do you have kids?
Well, I have a girlfriend.
That don't
But
count.
Yeah. You can have a girlfriend and still go to work. Absolutely.
That doesn't count.
Felicia.
And look, in this season, we're eating at home. In this season, it's McDonald's at home and it's BYOB because you don't have any money.
Something that I do to save money, and even though I recently became debt free, part of becoming debt free, the other half is staying debt free. And one of the things that I do is, and I don't have kids, so it's different when you have children, and I will recognize that. But at least for those of us that can adapt a little bit, it's okay if I don't eat a formal dinner every night. I mean, I never really eat formal dinner anyways, but some nights it's okay if it's just a smoothie and I don't know, a smoothie and one of my cake slices or something. In other words, sometimes we think we have to spend money on breakfast, lunch, dinner. Okay, it's okay if you sometimes skip a meal. If you're not hungry, don't eat. Okay. Now, I am a weightlifter, so I do have to pay maybe a little bit more attention. I can't, go for, 7 hours not eat something. But sometimes, dinner might just be breakfast for dinner. Breakfast for dinner can be great. It's affordable. Okay. So something to think about. Give yourself permission to change your meals a little bit.
Okay. And let her understand, like, hey, right now I've got to focus on getting my life together. I don't have the money I like you a lot, but I don't have the money to just be taking you out to whining and dining you. Not that you're doing that much anyway on 20,000.
I was gonna say, I don't know how he could even afford to do that. And if his girlfriend is worth anything, she will understand. And here's the other reality too. Okay, if he's in this low of an income bracket, okay, reasonably suspecting his girlfriend probably isn't in a much higher income bracket. I mean, I don't know the stats on that, but if he's making 20,000 a year, I'm willing to bet the girlfriend probably doesn't make that much more. And another hard reality um, that needs to be considered is as he gains his confidence. Okay, this is someone we want to gain confidence over time. The relationship with the girlfriend may or may not change. Relationships can change when you realize you are worth more than what someone told you were with. You can be in a relationship with someone and realize, you know what, I'm worth more, and not in a egotistical sense or trying to be holier than thou or bragging, but sometimes part of healing, especially when you are so down, if it's true, and I think it is, we attract people who are like us at the phase of life we are at. So if we are really down on our luck and all of that stuff, what sort of people do we attract when we don't feel like we are worth much? And then as we build our self-esteem, as we create that over time, okay, uh, sometimes, I mean, it's a hard fact, but sometimes you realize that the person you're with isn't necessarily the best person. And a great example of this is the show My 600-Pound Life, where people lose a vast amount of weight and they begin to realize that the person they're with is actually insulting and puts them down and doesn't encourage. Yet it may have been someone they actually married when they were both overweight, or when, he liked her big and heavy or she liked him big and heavy, whatever, okay? When they realize that as they're trying to change their life and pick themselves up, they all of a sudden realize that the person that they were with really wasn't the best person.
But I certainly don't want you using a credit card to do that. So the game changes today. We're going to get another job, any job. I want you doubling your income in the next month or two. All right. And you can.
And he's at such a low income. What is it? He's at such a low income threshold anyways. I don't think doubling it would be difficult.
Do that. We're doing that. That's a yes. All right.
Yeah.
Next thing is, I want you out of this car. How's your credit? I'm guessing it's in the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I completely destroyed my credit when I took all these loans, and
Yeah.
I'm actually missed payments already. I just can't afford to make those to make some payments anymore on my credit cards and personal loans.
Who the hell gave this guy a $50,000 car loan? And I'm willing to bet that $50,000 car note was before the interest was added. And car notes are amortized. So how many years was he supposed to pay on this thing? My condo is $100,000 that I bought in 2020. Okay, the place that I'm sitting in, I'm in my office section right now, but that was $100,000. I mean, who gives a guy? I'm blown away. 50,000. I don't even know how a bank would have approved it, unless the bank lied on the paperwork and he never checked the paperwork. Whatever.
Yeah. I need you. So are you current on the car or you're behind?
behind.
I'm current on my car.
Okay.
Okay.
Just because I need the car. I live in a big city. I need to move around.
Can
Yeah.
you go sell that motorcycle this weekend for
We-
$5,000?
100%.
I'm also upside down on the motorcycle.
I don't care how much.
How far?
So
They only give me like 3,000 out of 5,000, so I'm like $2,000 upside.
If I
down.
were you, I would try to find the difference. If you can't get a loan or a personal loan, again, this is the one time I'd suggest a credit card. See if you can find, a $10,000 or $15,000 balance so you can get out of this car, give them the $10,000, clear the gap, then take $5,000 to get you a cash car. You're buying a car in cash. Do your research, get the best car that you can get, and you're going to be $40,000 less in debt. Sound good?
Yeah, and I mean, I've tried that already. I used to work at a dealership for like 2 years.
So he worked at a dealership. Oh Lord. Well, like I said, I can't throw stones. It's like the accountant, okay? It's like the accountant who can't keep track of their own money. So it's the same sort of situation. We have to remember that just because someone works in an industry and then messes up in that industry, okay, the ability to do a job for pay is different than when you apply it to your own personal life. So he working at a dealership, assuming that he worked in any of the finance stuff, at least, wasn't like, scrubbing the tables or whatever. But assuming he was doing that, he would have understood how car loans work. I just lost my mouse. Oh, there's my mouse. Okay.
And I know how that works. It's just that I there's no way nobody will give me a loan for that. I've tried selling it. I've tried getting.
How did he get this loan for $50,000 car on $20,000 a year? And I'm assuming that $20,000 is gross. See, now, if he had student loans, he wouldn't even have to be paying taxes on. I mean, he wouldn't even be making payments at all. He would be on zero payments, income based. But we know what the problem is, because he's a good example, okay? So someone like him, if he had student loans, he would not be making any payments most likely, okay, at only $20,000 a year. I'm almost pretty positive of that. In fact, he would be on zero payment. But zero payment does not stop the interest. The interest still keeps building and building and building, okay? And it can build for 20, 25 years. Then you go to have it wiped out through loan forgiveness. That's taxable. Unless you're in public service, that loan forgiveness is taxable, and then the tax is based on that new higher balance. Never think that zero income based payment, meaning you don't have to pay anything, is a free ride. It's not.
A loan for so I can get another car and drive it around, but I'm just too deep in the hole, I guess.
All right, then the next play is, I want you to look deeper into that, but the next play here is you've got to get your income up.
Gotta go to work,
because
man.
at the end of the day, here's what we know is true. You can pay debt off.
Yes.
As long as you stop creating debt, you can dig yourself out of the hole. When my husband and I started out with debt, Manuel, I want you to hear this. We made $30,000 combined. We had $460,000 of debt. When I tell you things are possible, it's possible, but it demands you getting stupid on this debt. It demands you working so hard to get your income up. And I'm not talking about overnight. This is year over year, month over month gains. You're growing, you're getting better, you're earning more money, you're decreasing.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. I'm going to go ahead maximize the screen up. I will tell you, I've had my own car repossession when I was in my early 30s. I told you, I don't think there's a financial disaster that I have not had. Okay, I got my. You got a lot of financial disasters when your friends come to you going, "Oh, well, I know you've been through this, or I know you've been through that," and you're like, "Well, please, how can I help you? Because you've been through so much of it." And I had a car repossessed, and it was actually a vehicle sold to me by a boyfriend. Okay. But he wasn't looking out for my best interest, but then I wasn't looking out for my own best interest either. But this was in my early 30s, so 30 to 40, about 25 years ago, okay? And what had happened was I was at one of my first real jobs, I guess you might say, okay? My first real job. And I had bought a little Nissan Sentra. Yeah, the Nissan Sentra. And the Sentras weren't, at least to my knowledge, they really weren't that old, because I had been driving a Nissan Datsun B210 hatchback, okay? And then I decided to go into the Nissan Sentra, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, again, you know, uh, vehicles, money, it's all relative, okay? So going from a Datsun B210 into a modern Nissan Sentra that I wasn't embarrassed to take to work, put in the parking lot and all that, okay? I thought I just hit the jackpot. So I don't really remember after all these years what the payments were. I'm going to say maybe around 350 or so, but you're talking back in you know, before the 2000s. Yeah, back it up 25 years ago. Okay, about maybe mid 90s or so. And I purchased the car, and I was making the payments just fine. And then I got a new job. And the new job took me from Salem, Oregon to Portland, Oregon. And I got into a real professional job, okay? It was in the insurance industry, is all I'm going to say. And I thought I'd hit it big because, man, hold your breath here, I got a $3,000 pay raise. And I was like, I am just on top of the world, okay? So I had taken it, gotten this $3,000 pay raise, and my thought was, well, at this point, what do I need this little Nissan Sentra for? I can get a Nissan Maxima. Now, keep in mind, I don't think I'd had the Sentra for even a year. Okay. And matter of fact, I may have even had it in the range of months. So what happened was I decided I'm going to go get into the Maxima. The Maxima at the time, the Nissan Maxima, in my opinion, okay, it is one of the most beautiful cars ever made. And it was the model that came out in the late 90s. There've been a lot of stylistic changes and stuff to it over the years, but the model that I had to this day, even at age 56, remains probably my most favorite model. Curved top. The vehicle was just gorgeous. It was like in burgundy. And I was like, well, I just got a $3,000 pay raise. I can go ahead and I can take this vehicle, right? So I went to the dealership. Never, ever pick up a date from the guy that sells you the car, okay? And never make him your boyfriend. Just don't do it. Mark my word on that. But I digress, okay? But the guy that sold me the car actually became my boyfriend for about 2 years, okay? Just as my dad said to me, Carrie, next time don't pick up a guy at the dealership. I promise I never would, and have not since then, okay? But I thought to myself, well, I've got this $3,000 pay raise. I can go ahead and get this vehicle. So I went to the Nissan dealership and I said, I want to trade in this Nissan Sentra and I want to get the Maxima. I got a used Maxima, and my payment went, I asked them how much the payment would be per month, and they said it would be about $450 a month. I said, that's cool. I think that raised me about $100. So I went from $350 to $450, respectively. Okay. It was just shy of around $500. I remember that very, very well. And got into the car, and stupid me never bothered to do the math on not just what the monthly payments were. And keep in mind, I'm about 30. Okay, I'm about 30 years old at this point. I did not do the math on what the payments would be. I did not do the math on. I'm moving the mouse here because I hate it when my computer screen goes off because I can't see myself. I did not do the math on the monthly payments. Well, I did that part, but I didn't do the math on maintenance. Okay, like car washes, oil lube filter, just regular maintenance. I didn't do the math on that. Well, I was smart enough to understand that it needed insurance, and I actually called the insurance company to get the amount on that, and that was cool, and I was fine with that. I think it came to like $100 a month or so at the time, okay? But what I failed to do was put together the entire picture of car, insurance, gas, car washes, regular maintenance, repairs. I failed to put that entire picture together. Well, at the time, again, this is my late 20s, very, very early 30s. I'm talking like 30, 31, okay? At the time, my paycheck, again, got a little fuzzy here because I'm 56, so bear with me. I'm going to say about, at the time, my paycheck was about $900 a month, okay? Got back this up 25 years, okay? Yeah, I'm not making much more as a teacher, but I digress on that too. Okay, so it was about $900 a month or so. I sat down one day and I realized my car, just everything related to the car was almost an entire paycheck. That sucker was about 40% of my income. It was astronomical. I mean, just, and I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? I also didn't bother to think about the fact that I was driving a car nicer than my parents, and my parents had careers. Okay, they were all teachers, you know, and here I am, basically brand new to an insurance job, and I have already completely changed the vehicle I drove from the Nissan Sentra to the Maxima, and I had failed to realize that this was 40%, if it was a dime, of my take-home income. The other thing that I failed to realize was that part of the reason I got the car is because associates at work were teasing me because I had an old car. You have to remember, I was driving a Nissan Sentra B210 hatchback. I drove that from my early 20s into my late 20s. Okay, so figure I had that car for almost a 10-year span. So by my late 20s to early 30s, I went from the Nissan Sentra to the Nissan Maxima. I I remember at one point thinking, what the hell have I done? This car is 40% of my income. Okay. And this, by the way, is when rent was like, $400. Okay. That was back then. So the story of the car is that it eventually got repossessed. I had tried desperately. See, I want you guys to understand something. I don't listen. I didn't create this channel just to listen to other people's stories. I want to use other people's stories, combine it with my life to try to give you insight as to how we can relate to the sufferings, tragedies of other people, whether or not that problem was or was not their fault, whether or not, what they did was careless, stupid, or dumb. Okay? Because to me, this channel is very much, it's a two-way street here. Okay? And if you've been following my videos, I think you'll understand. Okay? So what wound up happening is I tried to negotiate with the creditors to let me keep the car. I was making minimum wage, just darn near, maybe a little bit above minimum wage. I think I was probably making about $12 an hour. Yeah, I think that was about right, about $12 an hour. Again, I'm aware that this is, back it up 25 years. Okay. But I was making about $12 an hour. There was no way in hell I was keeping a car. That was, and I remember my parents thought, I think they thought to themselves, I'm sure they did, but they didn't say anything. They probably thought, where did our child get this money for this luxury vehicle? Okay. It wasn't leather interior, it was a nice cloth, but I mean, I'm sure they thought that. But my parents are too polite, they weren't going to say anything. But I'm sure in their mind they were going, how is this kid affording this? Okay. I tried to negotiate with the creditors to please, drop the price of the car. And the hard part, or the sad part, is that the car itself, I really didn't owe a ridiculous amount on it. It was nowhere near this guy's with 50,000. I think I was in the neighborhood of 16,000 is what I owed on it. And the creditors absolutely refused to negotiate. I was in basically a $12 an hour job, and I got laid off of that $12 an hour job. And when I got laid off of that $12 an hour job, now I was really in a pickle because I had this car that I was basically sucking up 40% of my income. And that's when I had a good job. And, I got laid off. Some life events happened. Got laid off one job. Tried to negotiate the car. Couldn't negotiate it. Then managed to get a second job or another job. Okay. This is kind of when jobs were plentiful in Portland, Oregon. Got laid off from that job. Tried to negotiate with creditors. Could not get that. And that resulted and bankruptcy, number 2 in my 30s. When I tell you that, how do I put this? Sometimes we keep things so secret that it hurts us more than if we just let the secret out. I feel this man's pain. I feel it. I heard it immediately in his voice when he called. And when I said to you, there's a certain humility that he speaks with that you don't always get from other people who make loads more money and are in debt. I always told myself, and I remember telling my friends once, I said, I will never let anybody know that I've had 2 bankruptcies, because that is just, whew, what humiliation. I mean, what loser has 2 bankruptcies? Okay, one on credit cards in my 20s and one on an overpriced car 10 years later in my early 30s. This is in my early 30s because my bankruptcy for the credit cards was in my early 20s. And I'd always told myself that will be a secret that I will take to the grave. But you know what? If I can help one person out there, if I can save one person from either going down the path that I went down financially, or even if they went down that path, I want them to see that things can get better. Things can get better. They do get better. But it takes time. It takes a lot of time. And it may take years. But things do get better. And how cruel it would be of me to have gone through these things and kept them secret, so that maybe that one voice or that one person that needed to hear from me, that one person that might just a little bit be able to relate and go, oh my God, I thought it was just me. I thought it was just me that, over purchased an overpriced car. I thought it was just me that had 2 bankruptcies. I thought it was just me. How cruel it would be of me to not let somebody know that, look, my life ain't been a bucket of cherries, and I didn't create this YouTube channel because, oh wow, I want to convince the whole world that all is just right and dope with the world, okay? I want it to also be where reality stops, because there's so much crap out there in media of, people. I know it sounds stupid. I was telling a friend the other day, I said, there are lots and lots of reaction channels on YouTube. And I said, and some of these reaction channels, all due respect, the things that they do are so stupid. I said, it serves nothing in society, okay? I'm probably subscribed to some of them because I love reaction channels. I said, but then I said, here I am, and I want this reaction channel to teach people something. I want it to make you think about something maybe you've never thought about, or to consider something, okay? And it's kind of funny because I said, so anyways, these so-called, silly goof off reaction channels, millions and millions of subscribers. And I said, but I want to actually teach you something. And it probably won't get millions, but maybe it can save one. And I think that's worth it, in my opinion. I understand where this guy's coming from. We have all done things, but if he has a chance to hear this, which I don't know if he will, probably not, but things do get better. They really, really do. But the road is hard. It will take you down every path you probably never wanted to go. You may be required to change the people you hang out with. You will need to think differently about yourself than you have ever thought before. You will need to think, act, do, respond differently than you have ever done before, because to do what you've done before is going to put you right back in the same place. So you must do something different. And you must keep on doing it differently until you find that happy side, that happy medium. And it does get there. It really, really does. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit Chat. I want to sincerely thank you for joining me this evening. I hope you will consider subscribing. Have a great night. Bye.